Hello, and welcome to the Other Six podcast, where we talk about life, scripture, and what it looks like to follow Jesus, not just on Sundays, but on the other 6 days of the week.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Other Six with North Liberty Christian Church, where we talk about living out our faith the other 6 days of the week. I am here today with two very seasoned individuals. If you would like to introduce yourselves.
Yes, I am Tim Stewart, lead pastor here at the moment, and married 42 years.
That is as long as I've been alive.
Extra seasoned.
Seasoned.
And I'm Cajun seasoned. I don't know.
Wow.
I was trying to go somewhere with that, like the Spice Girls. Sorry. I'm Aaron Lax, and I've been married 16 years.
All right. And I am Chris Fleck, the Worship and Connection Director, and I have been married 18 years. The reason why we are throwing this information out today is because we're currently going through a series on Sunday mornings called Re-Engage, which talks about our marriages and how we can honor God and our spouses through that. So we have been talking about marriage, and I think how long we've been married certainly plays a factor into some of our perspective. Before we dive in to our content, let's get this locked down. Marriage, as it would be. Marriage comes from The Princess Bride. A movie which I have not seen. I just want to put that out there now.
It's very sad.
Tim, have you seen that movie, Princess Bride?
I don't remember.
Oh, wasn't that good? Or he's been married 42 years and can't remember. I don't get what the big deal is. You're going to have to sell me real quick here.
Yeah, I guess it's just a staple for our generation. It's like the never-ending story. Do you remember?
I do. I like the never-ending story. Yeah. That's one thing.
Yeah, I remember seeing The Princess
Falcor.
Bride. Yeah, Falcor and the
Atreyu. Artax. Freaking horse.
Yeah, dying in the swamp.
That was sad.
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, I remember watching this in the late '80s, early '90s, like Princess Bride, and seeing the giant rats. I can't remember what they're called in the swamp, but you've never seen it, so you wouldn't know.
Okay.
But the iconic marriage scene. Marriage is what brings us together today. Yeah. Do you have the wings? I've always wanted to say that at any wedding I've officiated. But
Your daughters.
Yes. No, she's never getting married, Tim. Oh. No one's ever going to be good enough for my daughter.
She turns 30, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll think about it.
Oh, my. Well, as messed up as I'm sure that movie is, we're all pretty messed up, too, if I'm being honest. And that is what is so interesting about what God designed in our marriages. Want to dive into just a few key things to talk about. And again, we want to preface this with the fact that we're talking about marriage today, but this is applicable within our relationships as well, as far as some of the things we're going to be chatting about. So first of all, how does our brokenness play a role in our marriages and relationships?
Like spiritual brokenness, emotional?
Well, we are human, and we are broken. And how does that play a role, for better or worse, in our marriages?
Well, typically, it's like the scripture says, men, love your wives as you do yourself. And if a man is broken spiritually, emotionally, even physically, he's going to treat his wife the same way that he feels. And I think that's why the scriptures are very clear that godly men, they're supposed to see themselves as that. And typically men think themselves as, God's greatest gift to mankind. And we should be treating our wives that way, but that's not usually how it works.
Yeah. I think in my marriage, the brokenness in me was brought to light because of my marriage. Like being in close proximity with another human being almost like draws that out, if you will, and really exposes it to the light, because now you have kind of an unbiased third party, if you will, that sees you every single day, sees you in your greatest moments, sees you in your weakest moments, and sees how you respond to it and calls it out, which is a good thing, but it doesn't feel like a good thing. And then for me, like I'm talking about this coming up, but I tried to see my spouse as the vehicle to fix that brokenness that was in me, and that was a mistake. I love my wife; she's amazing, but she is not Jesus. You know.
Nope.
I would assume what you're trying to get at is if we recognize our own brokenness, we're not going to judge our wives as such self-righteousness.
Yeah.
Because we recognize that we are sinners.
Right.
And we can't think that our wives are any better or any worse.
And that certainly goes both ways. Same thing for the wives. I know when we get married. I know, Tim, you talked about this on the last Sunday you preached, specific to, if you are going to put your spouse on a pedestal, again, you're going to be let down. And we are going to let one another down over and over and over again. Romans 7:18 says, "For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh. For I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out." And I think once couples recognize that we're going to let one another down and that we err on the side of grace, because that's what we're called to do, it really does kind of level the playing field and just gives us a new perspective for our spouses and again, in our relationships. Psalm 139, 23 through 24 speaks of this. "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." Guys, how do our expectations form our marriages and relationships? I know, Tim, again, you talked about this yesterday in your sermon. Maybe your perspective early on and perspective today to how expectations were and maybe what they shifted to.
Well, I know everybody brings this to the table. When Terry and I were planning on getting married, and I was raised in a home where my mom did certain things, my dad did certain things.
Gender roles.
And so I'm going into a marriage thinking that's how it's going to work. Now, she grew up in the same kind of Christian home, but her dad was the epitome of a servant. He did everything in the home, where Jareen didn't have to do a lot of things, even though she did a lot of things. But he felt it was his responsibility to take on that role of a servant for his wife. Yeah. And so Terry's bringing in a different perspective, and we debated. We had arguments all the time about the roles of a Christian husband and wife, and it was difficult at the start. And she's bringing things into our marriage that I like. What the heck is that? You know? I remember, and forgive me for saying this, Miss Terry. But it was something silly. I was working third shift at Martin's. And I would get groceries while I was there and come home, and she would put the bread in the freezer.
Oh, man, come on.
I mean, well, what is that about?
Come on.
And we actually fought over that. And, well, this is what we did. I go, we never had time to put bread in the freezer. We ate it all.
Eat it. Yep.
And so it was a different culture. I had no idea, like, what is this?
You got to buy 2 loaves of bread. One for the freezer and one for the
But it was
pantry.
a little stupid stuff like that that created dumb conflict.
Yeah.
Because we just weren't, we had these expectations of what we grew up with, and we all do it, and she brought her expectations, and it was just, a battle all the time.
You made me think of one time my wife, Joanna, asked me to go to the store to get groceries. And again, like you said, I'm raised in my cultural context. She's raised in her cultural context from northern Indiana. I was raised in the South by a Southern family, and so butter to us is country crock butter, like a whole,
tub.
Almost like a gallon tub.
It's where your noodles and beef go after.
Butter, yeah. And it's soft spread, like it's really nice.
I like it.
And I come back, and my wife says, "No, go back to the store and get butter." And I'm like, "What do you mean? This is butter. This is the only butter I know." Like, what? She's like, "You got to get sticks of butter."
My gosh.
And I'm like,
Four to a box.
Well, how do you put it on bread? Because it's in the. She's like, "You got to sit it out and let it soften." And I'm like, little
Takes
stuff
too
like
long.
that.
Oh my gosh.
Little stuff like that. Yeah, but then beyond like even just groceries, like you were saying, there was the way like men and women behave in the home. I mean, there's no like, other than the Bible, there's no book on it, and the greatest school for relationships is our parents. Like, and so we're watching our parents kind of model this for us, and then we're like, oh, this is how it must be. And that was complicated because my parents are different than Joanna's parents, and the way they related to each other was totally different. I think honestly, in my innocence, I was 21, about to be 22, about to graduate college. So really fresh faced and not really sure. I thought I knew how things were going to play out. I just thought like the movies, happily ever after, Disney movies, always end with, and they got married and they lived happily ever after. And so your parents kind of inform those expectations, but then culture and especially pop culture kind of inform that. Yeah. And golly, if this is not the season for dumb Christmas movies where the busy businesswoman leaves her job in the city and meets this guy that she knew in high school, and he owns a bakery, and a reindeer is the mayor of this town, and they leave those worlds and they come together and everything is perfect for the rest of their days. Yeah. Yep. That's not.
It's a farce.
That's not it at all.
That is a farce.
Yeah.
I think of when Katie and I first got married, there was I wouldn't say a princess and a king mindset, but more like a princess and a butthead. Yeah.
Princess and the Pauper.
Term. Yeah, let's be honest.
I think that's the book.
But see, she was always called a princess by Grandpa.
Yep.
Both her grandpas.
Oh, yeah.
So her mind said, I'm a princess.
Yep. So Tim's my father-in-law because this is the reason why he knew that Katie was called a princess by her grandpas. But that was an expectation shift that again that we had to navigate in some difficult ways. So that comes back to expectations and fulfilling one another's needs. We have found, and you guys can speak to this, that if we are looking to another human to fulfill our needs, we will always be disappointed. Psalm 62:2 says, "He alone," speaking of Christ, "He alone is my rock, my walk, and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken." I don't even like Princess Bride. Why am I even quoting it right now? But it's stuck in my head. Katie and I were able to share a bit of our story a few weeks ago on Sunday mornings, and that was one of the things that we came back to is if we are looking for our total satisfaction and fulfillment in another human, we are going to be let down over and over and over again. And in a marriage relationship, in a covenant marriage relationship, that grace and expectations have to be shifted. Otherwise, we'll be climbing uphill the rest of our lives. I found a great quote from Paul David Tripp. It says, "None of us gets our dream in the way we dreamt it." Truth. Because none of us is writing our own story. God, in his love, writes a better story than we could ever write for ourselves. So my encouragement to you out there, whether you're married or, again, whether you're pursuing relationships, is you have to draw a circle around yourself and, number one, address those things in the circle that need to be addressed and build that relationship with Christ. And from there, your relationships outside of that will begin to see fruit. Gentlemen, what if you had to nail down one thing, one practical thing to improve our marriages and relationships, what might that be? Got any ideas?
Tone.
Ooh. Oh, I'm the worst.
Yeah, tone is huge.
Yeah.
The way you speak to your wife, you may not
or your husband
mean anything by it, but too many guys talk to their wives like they do their friends, their buddies, and we don't understand the heart of a woman. We forget. And if our tone is abrasive, they take it as though we're being critical of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so tone is a huge one.
Yeah. Mine's, it's going to sound like a cop-out, but I don't think it is. The gospel. It's funny how the gospel is applicable in any context. The gospel is, I acknowledge that I'm a sinner. I know that I'm broken. I know that my spouse is broken, and I'm going to make mistakes, and she's going to make mistakes. I know that my value is solely on Jesus's shoulders and not in what I do. And so I'm not going to do things or invest in the relationship with my wife expecting a return on that, because that's a quid pro quo that creates this like transactional love, this conditional love. If I'm loved unconditionally, I have to show unconditional love. And then if I've been forgiven, I need to extend the same forgiveness that's been given to me. Yeah. And I've never had. Look, I've never had. I know this is going to surprise everybody. I haven't had a Paul on the road to Damascus moment. Jesus has not shown up in my life and blinded me, thankfully. But if I've ever seen Jesus, it's been through my wife, who at times has had to put up with my stubborn, stiff-necked, arrogant, jerk-headed version of me, and yet she's chosen to stay, yet she's chosen to forgive me, she's chosen to actually lean in even when marriage has been really hard for her. And I hope that I've reciprocated the favor.
Yeah. What about in a situation where one spouse is willing to invest and one spouse is not? What should the one spouse who's willing to invest do? Because sometimes it can feel hopeless. There's no light at the end of that tunnel.
Well, again, if you go back to the Gospels, it talks about being long-suffering. It's sacrifice. Yeah. It's not all about what you want, what you need. It's about the person you claim to love. What are you going to do for that person? It's like I mentioned yesterday. It's not about what you want. What do you have to offer? And we're supposed to be servants. Yeah. God has called us to be servants. Yep. And if the Son of the living God can come down here in the flesh and be a servant to all, who are we to question our responsibilities of being a servant to our wives? Yeah. It's difficult when it's not being reciprocated. Yeah. But then that's where that long suffering comes in, and swallowing the pride and letting it go. And this is about the Lord, not me. Yeah.
Yeah. But Paul actually he speaks to a specific like marital relationship that was happening in the early church, where people in Gentiles are finding the gospel, but then they're finding themselves in relationships where one spouse is a believer and the other one is not. And he's speaking to women and saying, like, listen, don't win them over with the external, like with putting on of a perfume, but let them see your heart. And so if you feel like you're in a relationship right now where maybe you're giving it your all, you want Jesus all over your family, and maybe that's not your spouse's desire. Yeah. I just commend you to let the light of Jesus do what it can only do in your life, and see what God can do through the internal working of the Holy Spirit, and not with maybe external forces applied. I don't know how that looks practically, but it just made me think of like Paul's encouragement, like let the internal reflect on the external. Don't try to bribe your spouse into.
It's not gonna get you far.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, it sounds so simplistic, but it is so key, is that we need to pray for our spouses. I'm a product of it, and I've seen it happen time and time again, where prayer and the Holy Spirit softens the other spouse's heart at some point. We talk about long suffering. Don't know exactly when that will come to be. But as long as, again, like we said, draw a circle around yourself, address the things within the circle, but pray and radically love on your spouse so that they can see what that love of Christ is like. I would have really liked to have had a wife in this conversation to get their perspective, because us men, little bullheaded, and we're kind of stuck in our ways. But another thing that I would certainly recommend is to make sure that you have a mentor couple that you're working alongside. It can be parents. Sometimes there's some walls of, some things you might not want to divulge to your parents that you'll divulge to another couple, but maybe that's where it starts. But don't isolate yourselves. Find yourselves in community where you can share your burdens and get wise counsel from those that are under the banner of Christ. Finally, as we get ready to wrap up this morning, I did just want to talk a little bit about a resource that North Liberty is offering that's new to our church. We're getting ready to wrap up a 14-week pilot program called Re-Engage, which is the name of the sermon series we're in, where we hit topics such as love, expectations, emotional intimacy, forgiveness, and the list goes on and on. And a resource in which that you can, again, whether you need to reconnect, reignite, or resurrect your marriage, things might be going great. You might have divorce papers on the table. Re-Engage is a place where you can dive into the principles that Christ laid out for his church and his marriages. That not only helps you become a better spouse, but a better disciple of Christ. Our first public offering of this is opening up starting on January 11th. Registration's open now at northliberty.cc/reengage. But again, whether you just want to meet some other like-minded couples who are in the same stage as you, trying to figure out this whole thing, marriage, or whether, again, you're questioning what your next steps are in marriage, I would make it a point to check that out. I will say, due to space limitations, we're about at capacity. We had to cap it at 24 couples this next semester, and we're at 21 or 22 couples now, which is fantastic. We're looking forward to it. But if you have questions, don't hesitate to email us at info@northliberty.cc or just check out the website. We'd love to engage in conversation with you for that. Gentlemen, any parting ways of wisdom, maybe from your wife's perspective, that you might be able to share? Because I feel like we're men.
You listen to what Jesus said, to seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and then all these other desires that we have as men, and to have that perfect marriage. God says he's going to give it to us, but we've got to seek him out first. And when that vertical relationship with him is good, then the horizontal ones will be even better than what we anticipated. Excellent. And I guess that should be the expectation.
Right. Yeah.
And I know we've probably shared, maybe some of you watching right now are considering marriage, and what you just heard, you're like, oh my gosh, is there anything good about marriage? It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. My wife, and the relationship I have with my wife has made me a better person, a better Christ follower, and it's helped me to love Jesus more. And maybe for those that are on the fence right now, and not sure about where your relationship is with Jesus or maybe your spouse, that there are very few things that are worth fighting for that come easy. Marriage is worth fighting for. And I always say, like, everything's hard. Choose your hard. Yeah. Being married's hard. Being divorced is hard. Being single is hard. Yeah. Choose your hard. Choose to stay married. That's my encouragement. Stay married. Yeah. Lean in.
Yep. There's freedom in being fully known and fully loved for all our flaws and all our shortcomings. And in a covenant marriage relationship that God designed, and where both spouses are pursuing Jesus, there's nothing like that weight lifted off your shoulders of having to be perfect than laying all that at the foot of the cross. Yeah. Again, I would just encourage you, if you're married, pursue Jesus together. If one spouse is pursuing Jesus and one is not, encourage, love, and just be Jesus to that other spouse. And again, if you're single, that's a gift from God as well. We're not going to discount that. You can honor God through that, and that is where you find your wholeness, is in him alone, not in another person. So be encouraged by that. Friends, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the Other Six podcast. We do have one more coming out this year, and I am drawing a blank on the topic, but we'll be sure to get that out there.
Marriage part 2 with the wives.
Let's get the wives. We might just have a new topic. We might have to squeeze that in. All wives. And we will not be in the room because we'll probably get, well, anyway. All right. Hey, thank you guys. Have a great week at the Other Six podcast. Bye.